Ladies and gentlemen, and sports fans alike, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski, Sports Tech Chicago, one of the couple, two or three best podcasts around. So grab yourself a nice cold one and a bowl of sausage, park your keister in your French room, and listen to Bill Swerski, Sports Talk Chicago.
In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose. As long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski, Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski, Sports Talk Chicago.
Welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski, Sports Talk Chicago, coming to you after a Bears victory Monday. Before we start, I just want to make a quick shout out to our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. Hockey comes back to the BMO Saturday, October 11th. For tickets and information, go to icehogs.com. Always a wild ride. So I'm going to keep this short. It's pretty late, but I wanted to get this thing out to you. Bears had a really great victory on the road in New York against a really tough Jets team. Couple quick thoughts I want to say is that this was a much tighter and better game than I was expecting. I was a little bit nervous that we would have a situation where either the Bears couldn't stop the Jets' run and they were going to pound it, and run the Bears out of the game, or the Bears would be able to stop the pass rush of the Jets and beat their weak cornerback play and score a lot of points. Those were the two scenarios I thought legitimately could have happened. However, it ended up being a lot closer game. There was a lot of back and forth between Rex Ryan and Mark Trestman, and it was a kind of a chess match. It was actually cool to watch because these two coaches really were making a lot of adjustments. So right off the bat, the Bears defense came to play. Every week so far in the 3 weeks have gotten better. They were not so great against Buffalo. First half against 49ers, not so good. Second half came out and played. In this game, they played pretty well. The Jets have the best running attack in football, and the Bears came to play, and they stopped the run. Mundy had a great play on a ball and got the interception for a touchdown, which really sparked the Bears and ultimately probably won them the game, because without that 7-point lead, Jets kicked the field goal instead of going for a touchdown on fourth down and win the game, kind of like what happened in Buffalo. So that was really great. Cornerback play, Jennings still looks a little rough. Isaiah Fry, it looks a little rough out there with some of his tackling and coverage skills. The team is really missing Charles Tillman, but they really do have a shining star in Kyle Fuller, and interception with a great coverage. You had the one bad play in the fourth quarter that gave a hope to the Jets, where he missed the tackle, but other than that one bad play, you really do have a shining star. And I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. I saw him as a great prospect, best corner in the draft, and he's proving it time and time again so far. And if you've watched closely, that he's got that peanut punch that he's really working on, and he's so quick with it. He's got the one play where the Bears recovered it, but they hadn't established themselves back inbounds. If you watch that one, he makes the play, and he spins the receiver, so the receiver has nowhere to go except backwards. He can't make a move, and so Fuller's got him where he wants him, and then just reached in and punched the ball out. And that was fantastic, because a lot of these guys will try to make the swat the ball out or punch the ball out, but they're not in the position to also make the play. And you end up, if you don't punch it out, the receiver making a big play. Fuller, though, he made sure he secured the tackle first and then punched the ball out second, and that's really smart and intuitive and really good heads-up play on his part. So, cornerback play, Fuller, good, really good. Some of the other ones are a little suspect. Jennings has had a rough season so far, I think. Isaiah Fry, I thought he played decent for the Bears last year, but there's a reason why he didn't make the active roster to start the season, brought up due to injury concerns and issues. And he's definitely got to get his feet back under him. Safety play, nothing really. Mundy played well until he got injured. Conti missed another tackle and hurt himself missing another tackle. And he hurt the same shoulder that made him sit out last week. So I don't know if it's a stinger or if he's really got an injury. But Mundy's injured, Conti's injured. McCray got hurt, but he came back in the game. And I just want to interject really quick is we got some feedback for the podcast. An anonymous person said that they thought my views on Devin Hester and the Bears getting rid of him were silly. And what I said was that the guy can run kicks back, but he's not the same guy that he was 5 years ago, but he can still run kicks back. But if you watch how the game is played, is you can't hold a roster spot for one guy that all he does is return kicks, and he's not capable of doing anything else in this offense. He's not good enough to be in this Mark Trestman offense. He can't learn this intricate plays. He can't run routes well. Your quarterback doesn't trust him. All he can do is return kicks. And if you take up a roster spot for just a kick returner, is what you have is when the injury bugs start biting, is you're short a man. Think about it is if they had him on the roster, you're down either a wide receiver or a linebacker or a cornerback or a safety, and all of these guys going down, it really hurts them. Had McCray not been able to come in the game, they would have one safety that's not injured on the roster. You would have to have, I guess you have Ahmad Dixon, but he's a special teamer, so you'd have to have a rookie special teamer who's never played a snap in the NFL at a position playing safety. That's the reason why you can't have a guy solely devoted to returning kicks. And I love Devin Hester. I have a Devin Hester jersey, one of the Super Bowl jerseys. I appreciate him. I think he belongs in the Hall of Fame. It's not a slight against Devin Hester. You just can't have a whole roster spot devoted to a guy that does nothing but return kicks. And it's hard to say that, too, because the Bears are atrocious at returning kicks this year. Ross looks awful out there, and he can't break a tackle to save his life. We don't know about Santonio Holmes because I don't think he even got a chance to return a punt. There was the one where he had the penalty. There was a penalty, but so the Bears kick returns are just worthless. They're not getting the field position, and they're not getting chances at it. And that's something they're going to have to address, and they're trying to address it by switching out guys here and there and seeing who's going to be better, but nobody looks like they're going to be able to step up and do it. What else about this game? With Jeremiah Ratliff has easily been the best defensive tackle on the Bears this year, and with him out with a concussion, it was really concerning to me that you'd have to have Will Sutton come up and Ego Ferguson step up and be able to play against this really great run offense of the Jets. And both guys played really well. Great game. He battled their guard all day long, and they played really well. Willie Young had another great game. There was some plays where I felt like he got held a lot, and they didn't call it. Especially towards the end of the game on the play where, in the fourth quarter, where Bostic dropped the easy interception. That should have been a penalty holding, and because they had Willie Young just completely arms across his chest and pulling him backwards, and that's, you just can't do that. And they let those kind of things go on all day. And with that, Bostic dropped an easy pass, but he did play well this game. So I guess linebackers, linebacker play. Lance Briggs still a bit slower than what you expect from Lance Briggs being Lance Briggs, but he did play really well in this game. DJ Williams played really well against the run, stepped up, plugged holes. He looked really good there, but in pass coverage, he looks like a statue. He's not able to turn his hips, change directions. He's not able to go from a stop to full speed very quickly. He's like a, old man slipping into a warm bath. He did well enough today, but in pass coverage, he's a real liability. Bostic played really well today. I mean, he had a couple of missed tackles, but overall, I thought he played really well. He had some decent pass coverages, almost got an interception, made some nice tackles. I was really impressed with Bostic today. And the defensive line, I thought, played really well. Everybody really, what they needed to do in this defense was trust the guy that's playing next to him. And that's really hard sometimes, especially when you're a really prideful guy, is you want to be able to go out there and make these spectacular plays. But in this defense, what you need to do is trust the guy playing next to you, and that they're going to do their responsibility, and you just worry about your responsibility. And everyone did that tonight. No one was out of position trying to do too much. Nobody was trying to cover for somebody else. They were just playing their own responsibility. And for the most part, the Bears did really well. And their whole game plan was, let's stop this amazing run offense and make Geno Smith beat us. And Geno Smith looked pretty well. I mean, they had a hard time getting to him because he's another mobile quarterback. But Geno Smith made some nice throws, but he made some bad ones. The interception to Kyle Fuller, the interception to Ryan Mundy, the almost interception to Bostic. Some plays where he just missed a throw, but then he made some amazing throws too. So you got to take your hat off for Geno Smith. I thought he played a very good game for considering this is only his second year. But the Bears' game plan was make him beat him, and not having Eric Decker the whole game also hurt the Jets' offense. So it was a hard-fought game, and the Bears' defense, they're getting better. And like I said before the season started, I never expected this defense to be a top 5, top 10 defense. But if they're in the 15 to 18 to 20 range, then this is going to be a very good team. And this defense is playing like a middle-of-the-pack defense. They stopped a lot of any big run plays. They were able to get the stops on third down on a decent percentage. They kept them out of the end zone a good amount. Gave them field goals instead of touchdowns on a couple of occasions. Interception in the end zone. So they were able to do the things they needed to do and bail out the offense, who had their own problems. Let's talk about the offense. Jay Cutler, for the most part, made some really good decisions. There was one play after Cutler threw, and it looked like it was going to be intercepted by an offensive lineman, and I was furious. I was like, how is he going to do another play that almost got intercepted by a defensive lineman? But then they showed the replay from another angle, and from the original angle, it looked like the guy had two hands on it and just dropped it. But from the other angle, you could see the defensive lineman just knocked the ball down, and there was no chance of catching it. But I thought Cutler made a lot of good decisions. The Bears knew that they weren't going to be able to square up and run the ball between the tackles against this Jets defense. So they pulled like an old Patriots type of plays where, in lieu of running the ball between the tackles, you use a lot of short passes to your running back and tight end, and dump passes and and pitches outside, and use that in lieu of a running game. So these short passes are essentially your run play. And by the end of the game, doing that, you get your defensive linemen running up and down. And what you did in the fourth quarter is suddenly you're able to run the ball because your offensive linemen are then firing off on these guys that are sucking wind, and you're able to pick up chunks of yards. And that's really smart. Lovie Smith sometimes would just keep hammering at the same run play that wasn't working, and you're leaving yourself at 2nd and 10, and 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9, things like that, where it's a really difficult down to get. And Tressman's at least really smart in saying, hey, listen, if we're not getting anything running it in the 2-hole, then let's do a dump off pass 2 yards out to Forte, and let him take it and get 5 yards out of that. It's essentially a running play. You're forcing, you're forcing the defensive backs to come up and make the play. You're forcing the linebackers, to respect what you're doing at the line of scrimmage, so they can't drop back into coverage or just pin back their ears back and blitz you. So it's doing essentially what a good run play does, without having to be able to run through the tackles. Brandon Marshall injured again, but able to come back in. And the Jets defense really, their whole game plan, the Bears defensive game plan was stop the run, make them win with the pass. The Jets game plan was take away Brandon Marshall. Let's see what they can do after that. It turned out to be a pretty darn good, strategy, because the Bears had a lot of stalled drives. And so it was getting pressure on Cutler, and his favorite target when there's pressure is Brandon Marshall. When he's got a lot of time, he'll pick you apart and go first read, second read, third read, whoever it is, whoever's open. But when there's pressure, he's always going to look for Brandon Marshall first. And when they're completely blanketing Brandon Marshall and he's already hobbled a bit, it made for a little bit of a rough start for the Bears. So Rex Ryan had, in the first half, the Bears were moving the ball, scoring points, and being able to do a lot of things. Second half, they just brought a lot of exotic blitzes. And I think Wednesday I'm going to take some stills from some of the game shots and show you some of the blitzes that they had coming in. So make sure to check the website, swerskisports.com, Wednesday night, and I'm going to show you pictures of some of the blitzes they were bringing in. And I thought the Bears' offensive line did a really good job, especially considering that they're down 2 starters and they've got a rookie in there playing against this amazing pass rush. I thought they're on the road. It's really loud. They're bringing exotic blitzes. You've got 2 backup offensive linemen, including an undrafted guy playing out of position at left guard. And for the most part, they were able to stop that rush. But Rex Ryan just kept bringing it. And eventually, come the mid to third quarter and fourth quarter, they were able to get to Jay Cutler. They got a couple sacks. They forced a fumble. And luckily for the Bears, they originally called it down the ground causing it. Otherwise, that would have been taken to the house, and it would have been a complete change of in momentum, change in the scoreboard, and the Jets probably would have won this game. But that's just the way the ball bounces. But the Rex Ryan started bringing the pressure. Just go back and look, and he's bringing, safeties in. He's bringing linebackers in, corner blitzes. He's blitzing up the middle from the outside. He's having stunts, and it was ridiculous, some of the blitzes. You listen to the announcers, and you got Chucky, who is an offensive mind in this league for a long time. And he's really confused about some of these blitzes that he's seeing and some of the formations they're lining up in. So they threw the book at Jay Cutler, and the Bears' offensive line was able to do enough to to ward them off and be able to come out with this win. So overall, it's a really great win by the Bears. Anytime you can win on the road in the NFL, it's a big win. And the Bears have been able to do that 2 weeks in a row. Special teams, Ahmad Dixon looks great in punt coverage and kick coverage, but when the Bears are receiving, they're still not doing anything. Joe DeCamillis is going to have to be a likely candidate to go by the end of the year if he can't turn this around. I mean, granted, he's losing guys from roster moves and injuries and such, but this is getting a little ridiculous where you can't get a single punt return or a kick return worth anything. And you had the greatest punt returner of all time, and he couldn't stand working with this special teams coordinator because the punt returns he was having. And you just have to sort of adjust and get better. And Joe DeCamillis hasn't done that, and Mel Tucker has. So those were the two coordinators under fire. Mel Tucker has started to bring it, and this has been a respectable defensive play today. So you can actually say, hey, Mel Tucker called a good game this game. But Joe DeCamillis has not done anything yet. So that's not looking good for him. Injury fronts, we're down 2 safeties. I don't know what they're going to do for next week. I guess it's going to sort of depend on how bad the injuries are. We'll find out probably tomorrow. But if either Mundy or Conti's not able to go, look for them to go and sign Adrian Wilson off the street, because to be honest, I didn't even look and see if he's still available. But if he's still available, look for them to re-sign him, because he knows the Bears playbook, and I thought he played reasonably well for them in the preseason. So that would be something for them. And he worked a lot with Brock Vereen, who played pretty well in there tonight. I guess that's all my thoughts for right now. I mean, it's a little bit late. It's almost midnight, and I just sort of want to get my thoughts on the game. Later in the week, we're going to have our coverage of what to expect and look forward to against the Packers next week. So we have our first big conference game. All our conference games are going to be big this year, but our first conference game, and it's a big one against our rival, the Green Bay Packers. And we're coming in at 2-1, so that's going to be a tough game for us. And those are my thoughts on the game. We had the linebackers looked better, the defensive line looked good. Cornerbacks is still an issue. Safety is still an issue. Special teams is still an issue. And the offense is looking good. We have to stop with the penalties. Michael Ola, hands to the face, cost a touchdown. That was a little rough and hurt a lot. It was a nice catch by Brandon Marshall. But if we can get everyone healthy, this is going to be a good offense, because Bears receivers worked those defensive backs from the Jets. Martellus Bennett was a matchup nightmare for them, and they didn't cover Matt Forte when he was out for screen passes and little dump offs. So, Mark Trestman just called a good game tonight, and he's getting better and better from last season through to this point now. He's getting better and better at play calling, less mistakes, and his game plan was really good for this game. And whereas last week they just sent guys out and they were using their physical receivers and their big bodies, this week they brought in a lot of protection and less receivers, and then mixed it up. And later on, we're bringing instead of having an extra offensive lineman in there to block, they had Fiametta in there playing fullback or halfback, and they had Dante Rosario in there after Fiametta got hurt to block a little bit. Kept Matt Forte at home sometimes. Sometimes they would have the tight end to stay and block. Sometimes he'd go out for receiving. So he mixed it up a lot, and it really kept the Jets off balance for the first half of the game, even the first half of the third quarter, and then the Jets made their counter punch, and so it was a good chess match between Rex Ryan and Mark Trestman, and it was good to have this win. It's good to see our coach come out on top and be able to make adjustments and call plays in an NFL, because we didn't have that with Lovey. Lovey just couldn't make adjustments. Lovey had his game plan, and if it didn't work, he was going to go down with his plan. And Mark Trestman's able to go with the punches a little bit and change things up to get things to work. So I guess that's about it. You want to have comments, you want to talk about it, definitely send us an email at billswerski@gmail.com. You can also go to the website at swerskisports.com. That's SWERSKI sports.com. If you want to call and have your voice set on the air, any of your questions or comments or anything, we have a hotline. It's through Google Voice. It's 847-261-4146. Call, leave a message. We'll play it on the air, answer your question. Like I said, we had one question, or one comment, and we put it on the air this time. And hopefully, again, we'll have Lester from Windy City Gridiron on next week, I'm hoping, to talk Bears. And again, we'll have another episode later in the week where we break down the Bears-Packers game and then talk some of the other sports, because I was a little late for this podcast because I went to the Blackhawks first training camp scrimmage tonight, and going to the game tomorrow against the Red Wings. So I'll be talking about those, and we have some Cubs and Sox news and some Bull stuff. We'll throw all that into another episode later in the week. So I guess that wraps it all up. Check us out on Twitter at SwerskiSports.com, Facebook.com/SwerskiSports, and check out our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs, at IceHogs.com. And thanks a lot for checking us out, and until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her, you can have her, she's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like... Remember, New Yorkers, smoking crack is not legal on planes. Bears 31 to -7. The Bears! Oh, when the Bears go bearing down, I wanna...